Chapter 14. Meanwhile, Alastor and his guests arrived back in the limo. Titok waited upstairs while Alastor dragged Vaggie back down the hall of the basement until he arrived in front of Angel's cell. Angel looked up from the book he was reading, stood up in surprise at seeing Vaggie bound and gagged in a lingerie dress, and yelled, "What are you doing to Vaggie?" "Nothing. She doesn't deserve for what she put me through today," Alastor said as he unlocked the cell door. Alastor opened the cell door and pushed Vaggie in. Immediately, Angel ran over and started untying Vaggie while Alastor locked the cell door and started to rant. "I'm very disappointed in your behavior today, Vaggie," Alastor began. "How could you? I give you nice food. I entertain you with a musical number. I take you to my radio station. I let you make an announcement. I introduce you to your Aztec priest ancestor, for crying out loud. And what do? You run away to the aquarium with Charlie and destroy your tracker the moment I turn my back. Then when we meet up with you offering to let the whole thing go, you force me to call on Lucifer to subdue you and Charlie. What do you have to say for yourself?" Angel finally untied Vaggie's wrists, allowing her to pull her gag off and yell, "Fuck you and the horse you came in on. I never asked for this. All I wanted was to go home with Charlie. I didn't ask you to find my bastard of an ancestor, come after me, call the devil Oregon for Lucifer to open my womb for that matter. I wish you'd have let me burn. I hate you." Alastor's eyes narrowed as he calmly, "If that's the way you want to be, fine. Starting tomorrow, I'll be cracking the whip on your wild behavior. You'll be getting etiquette classes from Rosie first thing in the morning. I will not have such an uncivilized woman accompanying me at my auction." "Like hell you are," Vaggie retorted. "We'll see about that," Alastor said, turning around and slowly walking away. "Good night, my love. I must go attend to your grandfather." Vaggie grabbed the bars and glared at him until he walked out of sight. Once he was out of sight, her shallow angry breaths turned into sobs. Vaggie felt 4 familiar arms wrap around her and pull her close to a soft fluffy chest. "We were so fucking close, Angel," Vaggie cried between sobs. "We were almost free. I'm so sorry." "Shhh," Angel said, rubbing her hair. "I know. It's okay." Vaggie's only response was to continue to cry harder than she had in her whole life while Angel held her. Angel and Vaggie then made their way to the bed so Vaggie could sit down. Angel then took her off his jacket and wrapped it around Vaggie's shoulders as she continued to cry. Vaggie eventually calmed down and started taking deep breaths. Angel rubbed her back and felt all the tension in it. "Oh, God, doll," Angel said in surprise. "Your back is tense. Want me to do something about it?" "Okay," Vaggie said emotionlessly. "All right," Angel said, taking the jacket from around Vaggie's shoulders and grabbing hold of her slip, catching Vaggie off guard. "What are you doing?" Vaggie asked in confusion. "I'm gonna give you a back massage. To do that, Vaggie, your back has to be bare," Angel replied with a sympathetic look. "If you don't want me to do it, we can just go back to cuddling." "No, it's fine," Vaggie replied, lifting her arms. Without another word, Angel pulled off Vaggie's slip and her bra, got her to lay down on her stomach, and began massaging her back with both pairs of his arms. In no time at all, Vaggie began to relax as Angel worked out the knots in her back. "How did you get so good at this?" Vaggie asked. "I always give my clients good aftercare, babe," Angel replied as he continued his word. "And massages are the best form of aftercare there is." Vaggie smiled pleasantly and relaxed as Angel continued rubbing out the knots in her back. It felt wonderful after the day she had. But as soon as Angel finished, he reflexively began sucking on Vaggie's neck. As soon as he felt Vaggie shudder and realized what he was doing, he stopped, sat back up on the bed, and started apologizing profusely. Angel sat up and said, "Vaggie, I'm so sorry. I'm used to doing that with my clients. I guess it was a reflex. I'm sorry. But instead of the angry tirade Angel was expecting, Vaggie sat up, looked at Angel, crawled over to him, and reached her face over to him until their lips connected. Angel sat there completely taken aback as Vaggie smashed her lips against his, kissing him hard and rough. Angel shrugged and began kissing Vaggie back, wrapping both pairs of arms around her back. Vaggie continued kissing Angel back, trailing her fingers around his shoulders. Angel started pulling down Vaggie's underwear. Vaggie pushed Angel's hands back up. "Don't want intercourse, huh?" Angel said between kisses, laying Vaggie down on her back on the mattress. "Makes sense. You can get pregnant now and you wouldn't want me to be the father. That's fine. We'll just stick to some heavy betting. Don't worry. This is on the house." Angel went back to kissing Vaggie as she moaned pleasantly and hugged Angel's neck. "You wanna keep going, hun?" Angel asked, moving his hands behind Vaggie's head. "Yes," Vaggie moaned. "Keep going." Angel smiled, gently laid Vaggie's arms by her side, and began kissing every inch of her. Vaggie would have lied if she said she didn't enjoy it. Her moans slowly turned into panting as Angel finished kissing her feet. "Are you feeling all right, Vaggie?" Angel finally asked. "Yes, thanks," Vaggie replied. Angel sighed contentedly, picked up Vaggie's bra, sat her up, and put it back on over her breasts. As Angel was hooking her bra in the back, Vaggie wrapped her legs around his waist and her arms around his neck. Angel finished hooking the bra, chuckled gently, and said, "Had a really rough day. Didn't ya?" Understatement of the freaking century, Vaggie said, allowing herself to slide off Angel's lap and back onto the bed so Angel could sit up. Angel reached over to the floor, picked up Vaggie's lingerie slip, and asked, "Do you want your slip back? Where do you find it anyhow?" "Lucifer gave it to me as a wedding present," Vaggie said angrily. "I don't want it." "Then, can I have it?" Angel asked excitedly. Vaggie scoffed and replied, "It's all yours, Angel." Angel squealed with joy as he pulled the slip over his slender body. Vaggie chuckled to herself quietly. "Hey, Vaggie?" Angel asked. "How do I look?" "Like a slut," Vaggie replied. Angel smirked and replied, "Mission accomplished." Vaggie chuckled to herself even harder than before. Angel smiled as Vaggie laughed and said, "You've got a sexy laugh there, doll." Vaggie smiled and said, "You have sexy confidence." Angel smiled wider, struck a pose, and said, "Why thank ya, babe." Vaggie laughed out loud harder than she had in days. Tears were rolling down her face, and her side began to hurt. Angel smiled contentedly as Vaggie finally began to calm down and said, "I finally did it. I finally made you laugh." "Yeah," Vaggie said, catching her breath. "Yeah, you did." Vaggie smiled. "And I thought you hated me," Angel teased. "I don't hate you," Vaggie admitted. "You annoy me sometimes, but I don't hate you." Angel strutted over to the bed, picked up the book, picked up Vaggie, sat down, placed Vaggie on his lap, kissed her on the top of the head, and said, "Likewise, honorable, you're not bad when you're not being a bitch." Vaggie giggled lightly before she sniffled in realization. "What's the matter?" Angel asked. "Charlie," Vaggie said with tears at the corners of her eyes. "I can't believe I just asked you to do that. I'm such a slut." "No, you ain't," Angel interrupted while lying down and holding Vaggie's head on top of his chest fluff. "Get that out of your head right now. You ain't no slut, Vaggie. At least, not anymore. You're just a scared person who needs someone big and strong to tell her everything's gonna be okay. And since Charlie's not here, you're making do with me. That's all. She'll understand." Vaggie sighed contentedly, letting herself relax in Angel's arms as she whispered, "You're right. Thank you." Angel pulled the coat over both their bodies and asked, "Do you want me to read some more of this book?" "Sure," Vaggie replied, shutting her eyes. So, what's the last part you remember me reading? Angel asked. I fell asleep sometime when Petruchio was talking to Kate at her dad's house, Vaggie replied. Ah, right, Angel said before he picked up where he left off. Vaggie laid there comfortably enjoying the funny lines of the play until Angel reached some familiar lines. Women are made to bear and so are you. Angel read out loud, causing Vaggie to gasp audibly and start shaking in shock. Vaggie, what's wrong? Angel asked in concern. Alastor, Vaggie stammered out. He said that to me. What? Angel exclaimed. He called me his shrew to tame, Vaggie said fearfully. That fucking bastard, Angel said angrily. Angel, you've read this play, Vaggie interrupted anxiously. What does Petruchio do to Kate? Angel sighed and said, Petruchio wore Kate down until he finally broke her. Vaggie's eyes shook fearfully and angrily as she said, that motherfucker. Agreed, Angel replied. Vaggie's fear gave way to her anger as she said, I'm not a fucking spoiled brat like this Kate bitch is. I am not letting this asshole push me around. I wouldn't expect anything less from ya, babe, Angel said, giving Vaggie another squeeze. Vaggie relaxed on top of Angel and said, I'll need to know what to expect. You can keep reading now. Angel smiled and continued reading the play out loud until he and Vaggie fell asleep.
I'm glad you enjoyed that video/gameplay. Just remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye!